And welcome back. 9/11. On 9/11, let's not forget 24 years ago. Sourcing video. Cut this one kind of easy. Cut this one kind of short. Not going far. Going to go to the Hope store and go talk to the manager there and see if I can get into the back and look at some of the stuff there that the person I spoke to when I was there like 3 weeks ago said that they have a whole bunch back there and that I could talk to the manager and see if I can go back there and kind of pre-sort because they've only been open for a couple of years. So they have a whole lot of stuff. And so other sellers, resellers, I'm going to guess, or whichever, she didn't say this, but other media sellers or sellers in general haven't gone back there and talked to anyone. So if I can relieve them of some of their stuff, and as I'm going through the media, I'll make nice stacks to make it easier for them. So I don't know if that'll take an hour or two or three. Don't know, but going to make this video relatively short. All right, let's go and find out what's sold. The Science and Health book sale came in right when I was posting yesterday's video, so that's going to be the video was posting, so the screenshot was already done. So this was $30. Very, very strong smell of plastic. This two. Well, that kind of makes a little sense. So these sold yesterday for $27. Shakespeare, just got this one. I've had it for maybe a week. 15. Kitty Wells, Kitty Wells, Forever Young. I looked at the picture. Actually, this has a sticker from 12/24/24. So Christmas Eve of last year. So I listed it, I think on the 30th or 31st, but $38. Baccarat. Three disc, $30. The raspberries, 18. Just got that one too. Actually, that stack is still up here. Still right there. Needs to be put away. So that was sitting right on top. In time for the winner. Dance, Gavin, dance. Downtown Battle Mountain 2. 143. Dance, Gavin, dance. What are you talking about? Hey. Say hey, Rigby. Go on. This Waterford pen. All right, so way when ago when I used to sell, it's got a dib on it. These still office supplies. I mean, some of them are still worthwhile to get. Some good staplers and hole punches and uh, pens and stationery. There's a lot of really good office supplies left that's still out there. Reason why I shifted from a lot of that loose first class stuff to media is because media is just so much easier to go through. So much easier, unlike everything else that doesn't have a barcode. It, it takes time to look up. Now, things like this, I would have most likely got in a bag of like pens, which I should still have a bag of like loose pens and things like that. Maybe 6, 8 different pens that just weren't really worth anything, but they were cool looking enough. There is a channel, Auction Professor, where he goes over somewhat office supplies and he also goes over pens and stuff. And there's a lot of really, really interesting pens. I have sold one. Now I don't even remember the name of it. So there's like some older, better Pilot, Schaefer, Cross, this Waterford. There's a handful of them that are still 60, 80, 100, 2, 3, $500. And here comes Extra Kitty. Bandit. All right, so this was $30, and I've had it for years. I don't think it even has a date stamp. $30. This Purple Martin Songbird CD. Now I've got this, and I had one before that sold for like $11, like a year or so ago. And I went ahead and looked it back up when I saw this one, and I saw through Terapeak that they could sell for 17, 18, $20. Why mine sold for so less a couple years ago, I don't know. But this one did sell for 18.53. If you're new here, I round up or round down. Mutant Chronicles book, and this one I remember getting at Salvation Army and Coffee, where I just had a handful of it. No, I didn't go there a handful of days ago, but this was just one of those. There wasn't much when I was looking, and when I think kids' paperbacks are 50 cents or 69 cents or something like that, this was enough to where I could buy, and if it sells, it sells. If not, I'm only going to be out that 50 cents. But eventually, it did sell a couple months later for $14. In this Gato sealed, just listed this one within a handful of days. It was also, no, it wasn't on that stack. It was in the box. But 15. All right, so total is 383 in sales and 372 product costs received. So 372, you add the 170, so that's 540. And then the 140 from the day prior, that's 680. Split that, so if it was 690, split that in between 3 days is 230, roughly 220, 230, which is still averaging about average what my throughout a week, and then what the whole entirety will be if you take what the sales were and then divide that by the amount of days. So higher mid 200s is about average. So if I'm just adding all those together and doing all the math on that, that still falls right around an average, and that's why I don't press and fret about the daily or a lot of times even the weekly, because what I want to try to, I can't control it a whole lot. All I can do is just list more stuff and keep the store kind of active. And with that new things that I'm putting up, that draws someone to buy something that I had just listed, which happens quite a bit. And all in all, I want to try to make it to where my payouts are $1,000 a week or more. And if you're relatively new here, a payout is going to be, so eBay, you could do it daily, weekly, or monthly. And I have mine weekly. So the payout figures, the math is done at the end of day, EOD, on Monday. So it'll be Tuesday morning, 3 a.m. for me, whatever the numbers are. That's the amount, roughly what I'm going to end up getting deposited on Wednesday, which was yesterday. And as long, and the payout consists of everything minus the final value fees, the shipping, any promoted fees, or any offsite fees, or any other types of fees that eBay is going to have attached to your account for whichever reason, and your store subscription fee if you have a store. Speaking of stores, about 3 weeks left, or 2 weeks, about 3 weeks left to use your coupon for your supplies. So I was going with all that. Oh, so I want to try to make sure that my payout, however it could be, is 1,000 or more a week. Sometimes a little less, high 800, mid 900, but whatever I could do to try to keep that closer to 1,000, the better. I think it's about the halfway point now, so it's probably going to be a little lower, but I have no idea. There could be a $500 something that comes through. So that's, again, why I don't fret about the daily or too much about the weekly. And ultimately, as opposed to back in January and February and a little bit in March when sales are starting to go down, they're still not linearly as they should be, as they were from last year on how they were going. Every quarter, they're going up about 20% every quarter. And then at the turn of the year, they're going down 30% each month. That's a whole opposite. So, but they are creeping back up. Just have to do a little more work for it. And it's still, yeah, it's maybe 35. I can't really claim 30 hours a week anymore. It's more like 35-ish that I'm putting in. And even if it was 40, that's still not too bad. So, but it's not. Because the biggest thing is that most people that they do for their own business, especially for reselling, why they do it is the freedom. You know, I got up a little later today, a little later, 8:45. Slept through both my alarms, so I turned them off. It's that driving that I did. Now, if I was doing a regular clock in, clock out job, and if I decided to sleep in, and if I had to be somewhere at 9, or if I accidentally slept in, I'd be somewhere at 9, I'd get, marked up for it, or whichever. No, it's the freedom. It's like, you can do what you want, when you want. And as long as you're being productive in it, and ultimately, if you're going out buying stuff and posting it online, as long as you're making money, that's a bonus. If you're not losing anything, cool. If you're making money at it, that's a bonus to what you're doing. Because if you wanted to guarantee that you're going to make a good chunk of money, there's jobs out there. Just over broke. All right, so that's going to wrap that one up. So, like what you heard, like what you saw, like what you learned. Pens. Keep your eye out for pens. This is called a Waterford. So there are some really, really interesting brands that are out there. Your common, better ones. Even your basic Pilot pen. Or your basic Schaefer pen. I mean, a lot of these stores will just have in bags. And they'll have a bag of 20, 30, 40, 50 pen, whatever it may be. And you're going to end up paying 10, 15, 20 cents each for them. Maybe 30 cents. You might be at a store and they might have a lineup of like pens, and there's like 4 pens and they want $15. Chances are they're going to be worthwhile. But yeah, pens and writing implements. Tell me anything you're going up. Comment down below. Subscribe, share. Those are all free. They only take a second. Appreciate it. Thank you.